Chapter 16. Brody. Mom! Stephanie yells as she steps into the house. I'm home. She saw her mom's car in the driveway, so she's pretty sure she's home, but she doesn't know about her dad. I'm in here, hun, her mom voices from the living room. She enters the living room to see her mom reading a novel on the couch. Hey, sweetie. How was school? Her mom asks. Normal, she shrugs. You wanna babysit? Really? Her mom nods. Sure. When? Who would I be babysitting? Steph inquires. Thursday and Friday after school. It's the daughter of my friend's neighbor. Her mom shrugs. Okay, sure. I'm in. Would I go over or she'd be brought here? Stephanie questions. You'll be going there this time around. I'll get you the address. Thanks. Where's Dad? He went out with some friends. She replies with her gaze still on the book. Stephanie nods and turns around to head to her room but hesitates. Mom? What's going on? Her mom sighs, clearly unhappy about Steph interrupting her reading. Did you guys get fired? Are we moving out? Are you and Dad getting a divorce? Stephanie's eyes widen and her voice comes out louder at the last question. Her mom raises an eyebrow at her questions. She shakes her head slightly, drops the book, and pats the space beside her on the couch. Come here. Sit. She beckons on her daughter. What makes you think something is wrong? Well, you're home right now. Stephanie wonders. Nothing is wrong, dear. We didn't get fired, we aren't moving out, and we're definitely not getting divorced. Her mom says, rolling her eyes. She doesn't blame Stephanie for thinking something is wrong. She and her husband work for the same company, they're barely home. Really? Stephanie sighs in relief. Yeah. We're on a little break. She explains. Are you sure you and Dad aren't getting divorced? You can tell me. Geez, Stephanie. We're not. Her mom exclaims. You, Dad, and I are even going on the date tonight. Wow. I was getting scared. Stephanie places a hand on her chest and sighs in relief. I'm glad that's all cleared up. Let me get back to reading. Her mom picks up the novel to continue reading. When is the break ending? Stephanie stands. Till the end of this week. Her mom replies, not removing her gaze from the novel. Okay, I'm going to my room, Stephanie announces. Maybe I should call Brody, she says to herself as she heads up the stairs, not expecting her mom to hear, but she does. Tell him I said hi. She nods and continues her journey to her room. She drops her backpack on her reading desk and sits on the chair. She brings out her phone and dials Brody, her older brother. It begins to ring, and after what feels like forever, he picks up. Hey, little sis. She smiles at hearing his familiar voice. She's missed hearing it. I'm not little anymore, Brody. She rolls her eyes. He chuckles. You'll always be little to me, Steph. There's a pause. How are you? Sorry, we haven't been able to talk for a while, he apologizes. It's okay, I get it. You're busy. College is busy. I'm even surprised you answered your phone. Steph confesses. It isn't okay, Steph. I'll try to make time for you from now on. Brody sighs, feeling guilty. I said it's okay, but that doesn't mean I don't miss you. I really do. I miss you too. So, Steph smiles. How's college? What is going on in your life? Dating anyone? She probes. Brody chuckles again. Well, college is stressful as per usual, he pauses, and well, everything is going great. Okay. Steph trails off, giving him the hint to continue. That she isn't quite satisfied with his answer. He doesn't say anything. Brody. Yeah? Continue. Tell me more, she urges him. There's nothing more to say. Expect you want to hear about my lectures. She sighs, rubbing the bridge of her nose. Are you dating anyone? Well, Brody. She smiles. I'm not dating anyone, Steph. He mutters. He's reluctant to tell her what's on his mind. He doesn't want to burden his little sister with his stupid problems. I don't believe you. But, he interrupts, there's this girl I like. Okay. Go on. We're friends and she's doing the same major as me. We're close, and I think she sees me as her best friend. And that's where the problem is, he says with a perpetually tired voice. That isn't a problem. Does she have a boyfriend? Steph asks the most important question to her. She doesn't. Her last one broke up with her about a month ago. That's great. It favors you. You like her, right? Yeah, I really like her. A lot. It broke my heart when she cried after the breakup. She was miserable for 2 weeks and I saw every second of it, he sighs. I'm so sorry. Steph waits a few seconds before speaking again. She can't imagine seeing someone she loves in pain. When did you realize you have feeling for her? I believe it was when she started dating the last twerp that dumped her. She'd go on and on about how great he is, and I began feeling jealous. Turns out he isn't so great after all. He adds the last sentence with a scoff. That must have been painful, huh? It was. Trust me, it was terrible. You have to tell her, Brody. I know you're probably thinking she might not feel the same way, and it'll ruin your friendship. She begins. Yeah. But you have to be optimistic. She might actually like you. You're her best friend after all. Exactly. She has probably friend-zoned me, Steph. Brody mumbles, voicing out what he has been thinking. No, she hasn't. Steph doesn't know that, but she's hoping that isn't the case. Be optimistic. You're a great guy. Who wouldn't want to date you? She asks rhetorically. Brody stays quiet. Just tell her, please. What's her name? It's Keely, he replies in a dreamy tone. Steph giggles at her brother's voice. He sounds like a lovesick idiot. Tell me about her. She tells him because she needs to know about this Keely that has her brother like this. So Brody begins to ramble about Keely, even mentioning tiny habits that people wouldn't usually notice. By the time he ends, Steph laughs. Are you sure you only like her? You're not in love with her? Brody lets out a huff. I'm not. Whatever floats your boat, she chuckles. Just tell her how you feel, okay? I'll try. And you must tell me when you do that. He exhales and his voice becomes cheery. Tell me what's been going on in your life? How's senior year going? I went to a party about 2 weeks ago. It takes a few seconds for Brody to comprehend what she said. Holy shit. You did not. Brody exclaims, his voice laced with disbelief and surprise. She laughs at his reaction. She would be surprised too if she's him. I'm serious. Brooke made me go. She explains as she heads to her bed. Damn. She hears him before he hangs up. She giggles. She should be confused, but she isn't. He would call back. A few seconds later, he calls her on FaceTime and she answers. His face comes on the screen as his eyes widen. Holy baloney! Steph, is that you? He gapes. Of course, it's me, silly. What's wrong? Your hair. You got a haircut? Why? Stephanie shrugs. I wanted to. Wow. You look better. Hot even, he grimaces. Geez. It felt weird saying that. I agree. Steph cringes. Her brother saying she's hot doesn't sound right, it's weird. So Keely, you must tell her, Brody. She adds with burgeoning excitement. I'll try, Steph. No, you'll do it, okay? She chides, giving him a glare which he shrugs to. He smirks and raises his eyebrows. Look at you giving me advice when you've never had a boyfriend before. Steph sighs. Or have you? He frowns. He thinks of a lot of questions he'd love to ask her boyfriend if she has one. She shakes her head. I'm forgetting something. Brody trails off, taping his forehead. Aha! You said something about going to a party? Stephanie chuckles. Yeah, I did. This is the part where I squeal in excitement, but I'm not a girl, so I won't. He says, and she laughs at his facial expression. How did it happen? How was it? Did you drink? Get drunk? Hook up with someone? Brody finds himself frowning at the last question. Stephanie rolls her eyes. Now you sound like a girl. Tell me what happened. Everything, he demands. Since you ask so nicely, she begins sarcastically, I'll tell you. So Brooke made me go. I'm liking Brooke even more. She's taking you out of your comfort zone. Brody interrupts. Steph narrows her eyes at him on the screen. It was crazy. Hormonal teenagers getting drunk and whatnot. That's how parties are. He deadpans and gets another glare from her. Interrupt me again and I'll stop. She threatens, shooting him a warning look. Anyways, Brooke left me to dance with her crush, and later on I ended up in a room where we played spin the bottle. He nods. Brooke made me stay and I ended up kissing Christopher Hayes. She smiles at the memory. Christopher Hayes? Brody frowns. Didn't he used to date that bitch in your grade that cheated on him with a guy from my grade when I was a junior? Yeah, he dated Poison Ivy. Brody chuckles, he finds it amusing that she calls Ivy that. Did you just say she cheated with a guy in your grade then? She asks bemusedly. Yeah. You didn't know. Nope. That must have been bad. Chris would have felt bad. She blubbers. He did. The guy she cheated with, Reed, didn't care. He was a player after all. Brody elaborates. She's dating a nice guy now, and she doesn't deserve him. And she'd be hanging with the said guy during the weekend with Brooke and Cole. Stephanie wonders if she should tell her brother that Chris has been trying to talk to her, and Brooke says it because of the kiss, but she doesn't believe it. She decides against it. Mom says hi. They're home? He asks in surprise. Yeah. They're always busy, but they're free this week. She shrugs. I'm sorry, Steph. He says with sadness evident on his face. It's not your fault. She looks away from the screen to hide the hurt on her face. Brody, Steph hears someone yell in a feminine voice from the background. Brody turns his head in the direction of the voice and then faces the screen back. Gotta go, he tells Steph. Who's that? It's her, he whispers and then ends the video call with Stephanie laughing. Chapter 17, Detention. Jason walks into a convenience store after school with the intent of buying potato chips. He's craving it seriously bad and there's none at home. He gets 2 packs. Hi, a girlish voice says behind him. He turns around to see a blonde girl smiling at him. Hey, Jason replies, returning the smile. She looks familiar. Very familiar, so he's trying to pinpoint where he knows her from. Jason, right? She asks. Yeah, he looks at her thoughtfully before it clicks. Party, Chris, Piper. You're Piper, he mutters. Aha. Her smile widens, happy to know that he finally recognizes her. It's a surprise to her that she didn't know him before, and he is the best friend of the infamous Christopher Hayes she has been after. How are you? He inquires. I'm good. You? Good too, Jason replies, shrugging. Thanks for the other day. She smiles, appreciating him. It was no big deal. You're welcome. She shrugs again. Chris asked about you the next day, and he's really sorry. He adds. Oh. How's he? Piper asks, absent-mindedly touching things on the shelves. He's fine. I saw him in school today. Jason answers. Cool. She mumbles, then thinks for a few seconds. Do you mind giving me his phone number? Sure. Jason agrees and gives her Chris's number. He hopes Chris wouldn't mind. Thanks. I'll call him later, she announces, and Jason nods. They stay awkwardly for a minute without saying anything to each other. I have to get going. It was nice seeing you, Piper. He beams as he backs away slowly. You too, Jason. She smiles, watching him pay at the counter before leaving the store. She turns around to get back to business. She finds herself smiling and replaying their conversation in her head. Hey, wait, why is she smiling? She has no idea. About 30 minutes later, Piper is seated in her room as she dials Christopher's number. It rings continuously before he finally answers. Hello? His hot voice sounds in confusion. Hey, Chris. It's Piper speaking? She tells him. Piper. Like Piper from the party? He asks in shock. He begins to wonder how she got his number. Yup. That's me. How did you get my number? I ran into Jason and got it from him. Hope you don't mind. Oh, he pauses. He won't mind if she isn't planning to give him endless calls and send him 1,000 messages. But if she does, he's gonna kill Jason. It's okay. I'm sorry about the other night. I had to leave early. He tells her. No problems, Jason told me. She says. Hope you're not mad at me. He says into the phone. He doesn't know why, but he doesn't want her to be mad at him. I'm not mad at you, Chris. She rolls her eyes, but smiles. Thank goodness. So how have you been? He tries to make conversation. I'm good. She replies, and they keep talking on the phone for a few minutes. Thanks for calling. It was nice talking to you. Chris smiles after their conversation. Sure. Till next time. Piper smirks, and Chris slightly panics. He hopes she won't worry him with endless calls because if she does, he'd have no choice but to block her. Bye, he says, and she hangs up. 5 minutes into Stephanie's first period class history, Chris walks in. Care to explain why you're... Mrs. Green checks her wristwatch. 5 minutes late, Hayes? She fires at him as soon as he steps in. Family stuff. Chris trails off, not wanting to explain himself. Mrs. Green looks at him suspiciously as if looking for a sign to know if he is lying. Very well then. Don't let this repeat itself. She tells him. I won't. Thanks, Mrs. Green. He smiles gratefully. Go have your seat, she dismisses him. He proceeds to find a seat and sees an empty one close to the back, beside a window. After settling, he looks to his left and finds Hazel on the seat beside him. Hey, he says to her quietly. She doesn't look his way. He wonders if she didn't hear him. Hey ha, Stephanie, he says a little louder. She turns in his direction. Of course, she noticed him walk in. Who wouldn't? Oh, you're talking to me? She asks. He nods. Sorry. Good morning. She tells him, quiet enough for only him to hear. Different questions pop into her head as she faces the teacher back. Why is he sitting beside her? Why did he come late to class? Steph doesn't think he has ever come late to class, at least not all the classes they have together. And most importantly, she wonders why he's still trying to talk to her. What's his reason? 10 minutes later, Stephanie is so bored. She begins to doodle until she hears a whisper. Pest. She ignores it and keeps doodling. Pest. She hears it again and turns in the direction it came from. It's Christopher. What does he want? This class is so boring. He groans quietly but loud enough for her to hear. She shrugs and goes back to her doodling. You don't agree? He asks. She turns and shrugs again. He smiles with his dimples showing, an amused look on his face. You're doodling, so it's obviously boring to you too. He smirks. She sighs and rolls her eyes. Okay, I agree. It's boring. She tells him. Mr. Hayes and Ms. Valentine, would you like to tell the whole class what you're whispering about? Mrs. Green asks sternly from the front. But that isn't a question, it's a command. They both freeze and Steph's eyes widen. She shakes her head slightly and lowers it, letting her short hair cover the sides of her face. Her cheeks flush in embarrassment when everyone looks their way. Way to go, Steph. Your being invisible plan is not quite working, is it? For starters, Christopher Hayes is talking to you. And everything that concerns him gets attention. Bummer, she tells herself in her head. You want me to repeat myself? Mrs. Green miffs. One thing about Mrs. Green is that she hates having to repeat herself. No, not at all. Chris mumbles. Well. Mrs. Green is answered with silence. Chris glances at Hazel. She's definitely not going to talk, and he can't possibly tell Mrs. Green that they were agreeing on how boring the class is. You came late to class, and that wasn't enough. You go ahead and disrupt it, huh? The teacher seethes. Detention, both of you, today for an hour. She declares and continues the lesson. Steph's eyes widen in alarm. She didn't just say detention, did she? Stephanie has never gotten detention. She has been keeping her good girl, clean slate status well, up until now. She turns to glare at Chris. He shrugs and mouths a sorry to her. Finally, school's over. Now, I can go home, Brooke announces as she meets Stephanie at her locker. Actually, Stephanie sighs. I have detention. Brooke stares and blinks. Then stares and blinks again. What? She exclaims. You heard me, Steph deadpans. Holy macaroni! Brooke exclaims dramatically, touching both sides of her face with a shocked expression. How did that happen? She points at her, detention? She gapes. Christopher Hayes happened. Steph replies in monotone. Chris? Brooke asks with confusion written all over her face. Yeah. Mrs. Green caught us whispering to each other in class and gave us detention. Steph explains. Why? Save all your questions for later. I don't want to be late, Steph cuts her off. Want me to wait? For an hour? No way. I can't let you do that. I'll walk home. I'll talk to you later, Steph says and begins to walk away. Okay, bye. Stephanie walks to the room she'll be spending the next hour in and takes a seat. Chris walks in a moment later and sits behind her. Then two guys enter also and proceed to the far end of the classroom. Hey Hazel, Chris says behind her. Who's Hazel? Steph thinks. She doesn't look back because she isn't Hazel. Then he pokes her. Hey. She turns around frowning. What is it this time? I'm sorry, okay? He mutters. She raises an eyebrow at him. I'm sorry you're in detention. I didn't mean for this to happen. He apologizes, running his right hand through his hair. Steph looks at the slight mess he has made in his hair and has the sudden urge to touch it. Where did that thought come from? She mentally asks herself. It's okay, I guess. Steph shrugs and returns to her original position. And just so you'll know, I don't like detention either. The last time I had one was in 9th grade. He informs her. Stephanie turns to face him so fast that it's a surprise she doesn't get whiplash. Really? Her lips part in surprise. Chris chuckles. Why is that so surprising? Before she can even think of an answer, the detention monitor walks into the room. Okay, delinquents. You'll be here for an hour and you're not allowed to talk. The monitor orders menacingly. The teacher takes the seat assigned to him at the front. About 10 minutes later, he stands and walks out of the room. A few seconds later, one of the guys at the back exclaims, "Finally!" Both guys stand and head towards the exit. "You're supposed to stay here for an hour," Chris tells them with a bored look on his face. "Do I look like I want to? I'm leaving." He pauses. "And what is the almighty Christopher Hayes doing in detention, huh?" The guy with spikes asks. He did air quotes when he said almighty. Chris shrugs. He owes no one an explanation. His friend who has been staring at Steph finally speaks up. "What's a pretty girl like you doing in detention?" Chris notices Steph become uneasy. She shrugs, just as he did. The one with spikes chuckles. Chris finally remembers his name. "Are you one of his whores?" Steph's eyes widen. Did he just call her a whore? "Bark off, Blake!" Chris bellows. Blake is known for causing trouble here and there. He skips class and does other stuff. Some people believe he is into drugs. It's a surprise he hasn't been expelled, but he's sure it has to do with his parents being rich. Blake and his friend chuckle while Chris has a scowl on his face. They turn around and head for the exit. "And for your information, she's not a whore. She's nothing close to that." Chapter 18, 20 Questions. Blake and his buddy leave the detention room, stomping their feet angrily. "I hate that guy," Blake says acidly. "Me too," his pal agrees. The reason they both despise Christopher so much is because of the number of girls attracted to him. He attracts girls like two magnets of unlike poles. It is as if girls worship him. One look at him and they're whipped, or at least they think they are. Also, guys wish they are him, and that annoys them a lot. Though neither of them will ever admit it. Silence takes over the room after their exit. After a few minutes, Chris breaks the silence. "Are you mad?" he asks, hoping she'd face him so he can see her facial expression. "Why would I be mad?" Steph answers with a question of her own, not bothering to face him. "I'm sorry." Chris sighs. "It's not your fault," Steph lies. Of course, she knows it's his fault. He's a man whore, so any girl seen with him is automatically labeled a whore. "Whether you believe it or not, it's my fault." "I know that," Chris says, and silence fills the room. He knows she was referred to as a whore because of his reputation. After 5 minutes of awkward silence, Chris exhales loudly and breaks it. "Do you hate me or something?" He asks exactly what he is thinking. Well, that question makes Stephanie shift on her seat to face him. "What makes you think that?" she asks bemusedly. Chris shrugs. "I don't know. You don't seem to like me, and the other day, you left abruptly when I joined you guys." "That was Dash." "Don't lie to me. Even though Brooke said you were angry, I have my doubts." He interrupts her. "And let's not forget the park incident," he adds. Stephanie frowns. "I don't know you, okay? And you're..." She trails off and looks away. "My reputation?" He says what he thinks she stopped herself from saying. "Well, can you blame me?" She retorts. "You're a player, a man whore." There, she said it. Chris scoffs. "I'm not a man whore." Steph gives him the "are you kidding me" look. "Whatever makes you sleep at night." She flips him a bird and turns around. Chris inhales and exhales slowly, trying to keep his anger at bay. "Do you want to know me?" He doesn't know what made him ask that. Steph shrugs, 'cause she really doesn't care. "Forget about my so-called reputation and get to know me, please," he begs her. She doesn't shrug this time, but neither does she reply. "Let's play 20 questions," he suggests, waiting for her to face him. After some seconds, she doesn't give him an answer. "Please?" She shifts on her seat to face him again. "Sure." She gives in, rolling her eyes. A smile appears on Chris' gorgeous face, dimples showing. I'll start with simple questions," he says, and begins to think. Why did you walk away on Tuesday morning? He questions. Seriously? What's your definition of a simple question? She huffs. He shrugs. Just answer it. I didn't want to talk to you. She confesses with a shrug. I knew it. He exclaims with a sad look on his face. No one speaks for a few seconds. Okay. Your turn. Simple questions. Stephanie taps her index finger against her cheek. She stops tapping and looks Chris dead in the eye. He feels as if she's boring right into his soul. When did you notice my existence? When did you know that Stephanie Valentine exists? Chris momentarily stills. Fuck. Why that question? Of all questions? And her last name is Valentine? I'm waiting, Christopher. She grumbles. Chris continues to stare at her. She just called him by his full name, and even though he hates when people do that, he doesn't mind her calling him that. If anything, he actually likes it. Well, she drags the word. Chris' eyes go to her luscious lips that he kissed the other night. Right now, he wants to kiss her again. Steph watches him as he keeps staring, waiting for his answer. She knows what his answer will be, that's if he tells her the truth. Christopher, she calls in a chiding tone, getting frustrated with his silence. He gets out of his trance when he hears his name again. He sighs in defeat. The truth is, it was 11 days ago. Exactly! Steph exclaims, but frowns after. I didn't expect such an accurate answer. He shrugs. So you just found out someone like me exists 11 days ago, and you expect me to just suddenly become your friend or something? She asks in confusion. I'm sorry? He says with uncertainty, shrugging only his left shoulder slightly and tilting his head to the left. And no, I don't expect us to suddenly be friends, he adds. She sighs. Your turn. Okay. He pauses. How is it that I never noticed you? Wait, isn't that obvious already? Firstly, we are not of the same social status, and secondly, I'm what Brooke calls a wallflower. I don't want drama in my life, and what better way to achieve that than to avoid the popular crowd, she answers and points a finger at him. So how well is that working for you? He asks. It's not your turn, she glares at him. Honestly, it has been working up until this year. This year feels different. I mean, look at me, I'm in detention, playing 20 questions with you, so, yeah. That is exactly how she sees it. This year, things seem to have changed. Here she is, playing 20 questions with Christopher Hayes, of all people. If she had been told this would happen, she'd have laughed in the person's face. Even if it's a fortune teller. Also, she's kind of friends with Luke and Cole now, and it seems Cole and Brooke's ship will soon sail. Everything is changing so quickly. All these in the span of 2 weeks. It's kind of overwhelming if you ask her. Why aren't you dating Ivy? She asks. Of course, she knows why, but she wants to hear it coming from him. Almost immediately, a frown appears on Chris' face. Wait, does she even know what's happening around here? Does being a wallflower make you oblivious to what's happening around you? Chris asks himself within. I mean, it's only normal and cliché for the most popular guy to date the most popular girl, she adds. She's probably testing the waters, pissing him off, but she doesn't care. He should have anticipated something like this when he asked that they play this. Are you sure you've been in this school since 9th grade? He prods, looking at her like she's really stupid. She rolls her eyes. You're supposed to answer my question, not ask me one. Don't blame me, because if you've actually been going to this school as you claim, you'd know that I dated Ivy in 9th grade and it didn't work out. Have you been living in a fucking cave all this while? He asks through gritted teeth, seething. Stephanie mentally laughs at how he looks like. Oh, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot such a big story, she says in mock apology, then smirks. Chris begins to wonder if she's the same girl that seemed uncomfortable with him and avoided having a conversation with him. This is probably her evil twin or something. She asked that question to piss him off. He sighs, after all he asked for it. Okay, enough crazy and infuriating questions. Let's go easy. What's your favorite color? She smiles, shaking her head slightly. Really? She gives him an incredulous look. Aha. He shrugs. Green, she answers. Chris smirks. So you like my eyes, huh? I mean, who wouldn't like it? Who wouldn't like all of this? He gestures to himself. Cocky much? She huffs. He smirks. Same question goes to you, she says without interest. Pink. He deadpans. Stephanie stares at him incredulously, then she bursts into laughter. She just can't help it. Pink? You're kidding, right? He continues to give a blank stare and Steph begins to think he's being serious. He's busy thinking about how beautiful her laugh is. I'm just kidding. I don't think I have one. I like orange, black, white, and blue. I was beginning to imagine what people would think if they hear that pink is the great Christopher's favorite color. Girls would probably wear pink to school every day, Steph cringes. And black and white aren't colors. She adds. Great? Wow, I'm flattered, he says dramatically. Don't get ahead of yourself, she scoffs and turns on her seat, facing away from him. Hey! Let's continue, Hazel. Steph hears the name again and this time, doesn't ignore it. She turns to face him. Hazel? Aha, he replies, quite forgetting it isn't her actual name. She looks at him like he has grown another head. Who's Hazel? You, he says with confusion written all over his face. But my name is Stephanie, she tells him. Oh, I forgot. Think of it as a nickname for you. He tells her. Since when do you have a nickname for me? She inquires, looking at him in slight amusement. Why Hazel? She cuts him off, which Chris is grateful for. He wouldn't want to explain himself. Because of your eyes, he answers, staring at them. They're beautiful, he adds absent-mindedly. Did he just say that? Steph asks herself. She probably heard wrong, but his own eyes are captivating. They stare into each other's eyes while the silence prolongs. Steph clears her throat and breaks eye contact. Well, only friends can call me nicknames, and the last time I checked, you're not one. She snaps and goes back to her original position on her seat. Before Chris can reply, the detention monitor walks in. Where are those hooligans? He asks when he notices the absence of two people. Steph and Chris shrug in reply and the monitor sighs, taking his seat. 5 minutes later, they're dismissed from detention. Steph is out of the room before Chris can even stand. She's really good at that, Chris mumbles and goes after her. She ignores him. Need a ride? He asks, but she doesn't answer. She'd prefer to walk home than to get a ride from him. She notices a familiar car just as she steps out of the school. A man steps out of it. Dad? What are you doing here? She asks, walking to the car. What do you think? He scoffs. You have some explaining to do. Her dad tells her and gets into the car. She also gets in and doesn't spare Chris a glance as her dad drives away.